Alright, I just found a few shallow calm bays that look nice. Got a little cattail action there. There's a lot of pondweed in the water. I don't know how well you can see it, but I'm sure up close to shore, there's an inside edge. That's kind of what I'm gonna be keying on. I rigged up a few things. I don't know if any of this is gonna work. All the way to the right, I got a little Rapala prop bait. Sometimes this can be really good, kind of in this in-between time of year when they're cruising and spawning. A white chatterbait, never go wrong. All-terrain tackle, bluegill swim jig. I'm gonna put this in my hand a lot and cover a lot of water. I've got a fluke, and then I've got a wacky Cinco. So that's my lineup going into the day. We'll see if any of that works. Back to the flip-flops. Holy smokes, it is rocking out today. Wow. It's freaking pumping today. All right, it's blowing outside, but we're chilling in the garage. I'm just getting some tackle and some other rods rigged up for later this week. Downloading a few maps from the Lake Master FishNMore app. I'm making some short trips, maybe a state or two over. But the Sexy Vexy is in tip-top shape, and it got a workout this weekend. This weekend was like the first time we really beat on the boat. We spent a lot of time in it. Everything's working great. All the graphs are networked. Everything's talking to each other. I'm really liking the Mercury Pro XS. I feel like I'm fully broken into it. It's got a lot of power. It's a freaking awesome motor. And yeah, it was an awesome Memorial Day weekend, to say the least. I hope each and every one of you stayed safe, got some time outside, and spent some time with some family. Before we go any farther in today's video, I just really want to give a quick shout out to all the veterans, whether they're still living or if they lost their life in battle, especially because it was just Memorial Day. It's important to give thanks and think about what Memorial Day is really about. It's about each and every one of the brave men and women that lost their lives in battle to keep this country free. It's because of them that we can enjoy the great outdoors and we live in a great country. So thank you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So yeah, let's get to doing some things. So another exciting thing that happened this weekend, if you live in Minnesota, bass officially opened up this past weekend. The week prior it was catch and release only, but now bass is 100% open. The cool thing is now you can put them in your live well. So tournament season in Minnesota, it's open. And that brings me to the next point. Not tomorrow, so Tuesday, but in 1 week, a little over 1 week, Tourney Tuesday starts. And I'm just getting everything prepped. I'm getting ready. I've got the fire in my eyes and I'm ready to freaking tournament fish. So if any of you are out there, if you fish local tournaments or if you don't, I would suggest jumping in one. They're a ball, and it's just, there's a whole different energy when you're on the water, when you're fishing against people or you're fishing and it matters. Even if it's for 20 bucks against a buddy, if you do a competition or fish a tournament, it makes every bite that much more important. So I'm excited for Tourney Tuesday, and that's coming up in 1 week. I don't know how each and every one of you wash your boat, but just to get water spots and stuff off, I use a 50-50 mix of vinegar and water and just some microfiber towels. I buy these at the hardware store. You can buy vinegar at your local grocery store. I just fill it up to about here of vinegar, fill the rest with water, shake it up. Takes the water spots right off. I don't care if you have an aluminum boat or a glass boat. This is the cheapest and sweetest method, I think, just to keep water spots away. With bass opening up this weekend, we did get out bassing. My good buddy Cole came with us, And a lot of the pondweed is growing up, but a lot of these bass are either up cruising in the shallows, getting ready to spawn. Some of them are post-spawn. We threw a lot of wacky rig Cincos, a lot of swim jigs, stuff like that. Overall, we slammed the bass and had a frickin' ball. It was good to set the hook into a billy again. So after we got done bassing, my buddy Cole, Steph, and I, we got together and we decided this is like the tail end. This is the tail end of mushroom hunting season. I love springtime in the Midwest. There's so much opportunity to do pan fishing, walleye fishing, bass fishing, foraging through the woods. We like to do it all. So in one day we try to kind of pack everything together. And we decided to hit some of our old spots, and we looked through there and we found a couple nice morels. And then my buddy Cole said, "Oh, I got this turkey hunt land that's full of elm trees. Let's go look through there." And we slam dunked in there. We're out here on Pint's relative's land where he turkey hunts. And look what we found. Ah! We are gonna be eating good tonight. Stephanie found a whole patch back there, and we were gonna go slow. Nice job. For any of you folks that live in the Midwest, it's not over yet. You can get out, you can find pheasant back, chick of the woods, a whole variety of mushrooms, and obviously morels. That ground cover is really starting to grow up, just with more sunlight, more humidity, but the mushrooms are out and they're absolutely delicious. That night we had walleye, backstraps, morels, and I think some suddenly salad. It was a Wildgame Feed, and it was a freaking awesome addition to after bassing. So after we had caught some billies, banged some morels, we decided we got to put a little trifecta together. We got to try for some walleyes. Like I said, I got a little bit of a walleye bug right now, and I feel like the end of May, early June, that's the best time to go after walleyes, at least here in the Midwest. They're post-spawn, they're chewing, and once again, we stroked them. We caught them on the shad wrap, except this time, a little bit different color, just on the natural perch. All right, so we found some morels earlier this afternoon. Then it kind of slicked off tonight. Memorial Day weekend. What happened? We're banging. Every single one of these came on the shad wrap. A couple different colors tonight. Bleeding hot olive.
Yeah, bleeding hot olive.
The perch, and then purple olive craw was your jam.
Yeah.
Banging them. Nice. The number 5 shad wrap has been a staple all spring long for smoking walleyes, and yeah, it was like the perfect way to cap out a Memorial Day weekend. Billies, morels, and then walleyes. We came home, we flayed them up, and we had another amazing meal of venison steak, fresh walleyes, fresh morels, and some pasta salad. It was a showstopper of a weekend. I'll first off say, I'm a total gear junkie, I'm a total tackle junkie, so I know a lot of the videos you see are more just like stories or exciting days fishing, but I love talking about tackle, and I love talking about rods and different situations and different baits and little hacks that I do. If you guys like this, please comment down below. I'd love to make more stuff like this. I just don't know if that's something people want to hear about, or if that's maybe something for a second channel, but yeah. Really quick, I'll go through my 2 favorite casting rods and my 2 favorite spinning rods this time of year for spring. These are all Dobyns rods. Like you guys know, I've been using Dobyns rods for, I don't know, maybe a decade, maybe over 10 years. And real quick, I want to say, Omnia Fishing. They're kind of like a tackle warehouse or an online tackle distributor. They're a really cool company. They've got a lot more to them than they kind of meets the eye. They sell a bunch of rods, bunch of tackle. They're running a 15 to 20% sale on all Dobyns rods. So if you want to stock up on some rods, I'll leave a link down below. I don't totally know what they all have for models, but they're running a sale, so you could get some money off if you're looking to get a new stick. And yeah, let's get right into them. So right away, I'll start in the back. This is my frogging rod right here. This is a Dobyns Champion XP. This is a little bit more expensive rod, and this is the 736C FH. FH stands for full handle. The DC just kind of tells you the model name, so it's a Dobyns Champion. And then 736 tells you exactly what rod you're getting. The 7 is for the length, so 7'3", 7'3", and then the 6 is the power. So this is the Dobyns Champion XP 736, and this is an absolute frog whooping stick. From right now all the way till I'm done bass fishing, which is basically in November, I keep a frog tied on this rod. Frog fishing is really good this time of year. A lot of those bass are just kind of finishing up spawning and they're recovering. They're staying shallow, and the frog bite right away early post spawn can be absolutely lights out. So yeah, you got to have a frog on the deck. This rod is really stout, and like I said, it's only 7'3", so you're not casting around a big flipping stick. You can actually be very accurate and skip a lot of trees, skip docks, skip on a lot of shallow cover. It's an overall absolute whooping stick. Very balanced, very strong. Sometimes when people get way back in the cheese, they like to upsize their frog rods just so they can really whoop them out of there. If this rod doesn't uphold to your standards for a strong frogging rod, I don't know what to tell you, but this is by far my bread and butter for frogs. Number 2 on the list. This is kind of my all-around rod. You can do a lot of things with this, and in the spring, sometimes you need to cover a lot of water and throw a lot of different approaches. I love a swim jig in the spring, a chatterbait, a spinnerbait, just a bait that I can kind of cover a lot of water with. Maybe you're fishing on a brand new lake or covering a large flat. Either way, having a swim jig or a chatterbait or a spinnerbait tied on is a must. This rod is the Sobi Special 724C. It's 7'2". I like that length because it's not super long. It's kind of a comfortable, I guess, semi-short rod that you can be really accurate with. If anything, I feel like it's just a little bit more than a medium heavy, but on the rod it says heavy fast action. It's more of like a heavy medium heavy, if that makes sense. So it's very fast, very balanced. One thing I like about this rod is it has a very fast tip. So especially if you're throwing a spinnerbait or a chatterbait or a swim jig up kind of around the weeds, whether it be pondweed, milfoil, some reeds, pads, and you're throwing up in there and you kind of feel on your rod you got a weed, you can kind of pop it really quick and get your bait out of those weeds, get those weeds off your bait, and finish your good clean cast. So overall, a great all-purpose rod, great at dock skipping too. This is kind of my all-around go-to tool of a rod. All right, moving on to the 2 spinning rods I need this time of year. The first one is another Sobi Special. Right now I got it rigged with a little walleye jig, and this is kind of my all-purpose spinning rod. This is a little bit heavier spinning rod, so this might not be an ideal walleye rod per se, even though I use it for walleyes. If you're throwing heavier jig heads and stuff like that, it can be used great for walleye, but as far as bass fishing goes, this is a mean machine. So like I said, this is the Sobi Special 723 SF, and this is a medium fast action rod. I love this rod for skip and sinkos. I love it for jig worming, shaky heads, Nico rigs. This is an incredible rod for Nico rigs, especially if you fish around a lot of weeds or fish a lot of weed edges. It's got a fast tip, so as soon as your jig worm or Nico rig gets on that weed line, you can kind of snap it out real quick. And it's got a pretty fast action, so if you're skipping sinkos under docks or anything like that, just a flick of the wrist, you can really get a lot of distance. All right, last and definitely not least, probably my favorite spinning rod that I own, and I think that's just because I love drop shotting. This is the Dobyns rod Cadence series. It's the 712. What do they have it listed at here? Medium light fast action, I'd agree. It is a very light rod, and it's kind of a medium, but it does have a fairly fast tip. But this is a light rod. It feels like your drop shotting rod. It feels like your small finesse rod. You could throw a lot of good small swim baits on it, flukes. Right now I have it rigged up for walleye fishing. I don't buy separate rods for walleye fishing. All my bass gear I use for walleye fishing. Right now I've been throwing a lot of shad wraps on this, small swim baits, small little jig heads. Like I said, flukes. I've been skipping some Sinkos with this too. It's not a super cheap rod, but it's not the most expensive rod either, and I absolutely love it. So if you're kind of an all-purpose fisherman, this is maybe one to look into getting. You can throw a lot of small crankbaits, small swim baits on it for walleyes, and like I said, there's a whole variety of things you can do with it for bass. And what do they have it listed for? Darter heads, shaky worms, shaky heads, tubes. It's a great tube rod too. So really quick to review, this time of year, late May, early June, bass are just finishing up spawning. They're shallow. They're hanging around a lot of shallow cover. They're recovering. They're eating a lot of frogs. They're eating a lot of bluegills. A lot of places I target in the spring are bluegill beds. So where there's a bunch of bluegills spawning, I'll throw a lot of weightless around there. I'll throw a lot of swim jigs. Sometimes those big bass will position themselves near bluegill beds, and they'll eat the young of the year, or they'll eat small little bluegills trying to go up in there and spawn. So these are like my 4 crushers: frog rod, swim jig, weightless Senko, and then a fluke rod. So yeah, that's my 4 crushers. I'll link them all 4 down below, and if you're looking to get a new stick, please look into one of these. Thank you guys so much for watching this video all the way to the end. I truly appreciate it. Once again, hope you had an awesome Memorial Day, and a huge shout out to all the brave men and women that have sacrificed the ultimate sacrifice so that we can enjoy the great outdoors and little things in a free country at home. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You can never say it enough. Thank you. Yeah, that was the weekend. That was bass fishing, morel hunting, walleye fishing, some wild game cooking, my 4 favorite rods. Hope you have an awesome week, and I hope you're having an awesome spring. So yeah, I guess there's nothing left to be said than stay tuned, and as always, let the adventure begin. See you.
Move ahead, oh my pretty babe, something ain't right, got to find a way to move ahead.